Hey guys, today I want to talk about the one root cause problem that every person has. If I could boil down the number one driver of all the unhappiness and all the problems that I've seen across hundreds of hours of coaching, the single root cause of everything would be these two words: not enough. I don't have enough. I haven't done enough. I am not enough. And from that root cause springs every single thing that we work on: work stress, imposter syndrome, confusion about what you want to do next, procrastination and avoidance of the next steps that will get you there, and ultimately, the gap that opens up between the strategy of your life versus the execution of your life. Everything comes from the single root cause. And today, I'm going to give you a simple way of attacking not enoughness right at the source. The reason that most people are so convinced that their not enough story is true is because they're using an outcome based definition of enoughness. Their definition is: if I had XYZ outcome, I would have enough, I would have done enough, and I would be enough. And I don't have XYZ outcome. So obviously, I'm not enough. These could be things like: if I'd gotten the promotion, if I'd gotten more things done today, if we'd hit our sales targets, if I weighed the right amount, if I got more invitations to parties, if I was in a relationship, or if I was in the right relationship, etc., etc. It is really hard to convince yourself that you're enough when you're using an outcome based definition of enoughness. So let me introduce you to two other ways to define enough. The first is process based enoughness, because you can also decide that you're enough based on your processes rather than your outcomes. Outcomes are one moment in time, right at the very end. They are the most lagging indicator of how you're doing. Imagine if you were monitoring two people to figure out which one was going to be a successful marathon runner and which one wasn't. If the only metric you tracked every day was have they crossed the finish line of a marathon, you would have no clue which one was going to succeed. They would look like two failures right until the end when one of them suddenly becomes an overnight success. But if you track their processes, you would know immediately who was going to succeed and who wasn't, because you could see who's running every single week, who's getting enough sleep, who's managing their nutrition. Processes are the leading indicator of how you're doing. And they're a way better measure of your enoughness than outcomes, because you can be doing everything right. You can have enough and do enough and be enough. And sometimes it just takes some time for the outcomes to catch up with you. But also, sometimes people don't have faith in their processes. They worry: am I doing it right? Am I doing enough? Should I be doing more? And here's where I'm going to introduce the second definition of enoughness: person based enoughness, AKA, you are enough exactly as you are. Now, I'm going to be honest. I have always hated this message in the past. I'm a complete overachiever. I want to do things really, really well all the time. And so the concept of you're enough exactly as you are always seemed to me like some kind of lame cop out, like an excuse that people gave themselves when their performance actually wasn't up to par, but they just wanted to tell themselves results don't matter anyway. So let's just ignore the fact that I'm getting all F's. Listen, I love results. I love ambitious visions and high standards for success. And honestly, my life would be a lot sadder without big dreams to strive toward and get excited about. So when I say you're good enough exactly as you are, I am not saying just love yourself and forget about results. I'm saying you already have what you need within you to achieve your ambitious goals. Trust yourself. Trust your instincts. You can figure this out. And you'll do it not by doing what you're supposed to do or following best practices or being practical. You'll do it by charting a path that only you can see, by discovering piece by piece your way of doing things. And as you take each step forward, you'll only be able to see as far as your flashlight can shine in the dark. But when you look back, that's when you'll be able to see that was the me way of doing things all along. So even when you don't know the process yet, or you're following a process but you're not sure if it'll work, or you're watching yourself resist and procrastinate the things you're supposed to be doing but don't want to do, or you're working like crazy but the results aren't coming, These are not the moments to trust yourself less. These are the moments to trust yourself more. Because in your discontent and your frustration and your fear and your resistance are the seeds to your success. What are the messages that your brain is sending you? What is the insight that's being conveyed through the pain? What do you think is the right answer? Not what common sense or practicality says is the right answer, what the quiet voice inside you says it is when you listen and let it speak. What do you want to do next? Not what are you supposed to be doing? How would expert you handle the situation? The person that you are, with the way that your brain fires and the experiences you've had and your drive and your dedication and the unique 1 in 8 billion lens that you bring to every situation that you can't even stop yourself from bringing, even if you tried. That person is enough. They are enough to get there. They are enough to figure this out. They're enough in the same way that a seed is enough to become a tree, even when it hasn't sprouted yet, even when the sun is scarce, even when it's planted upside down. The seed isn't enough only when it flowers. The seed isn't enough only when things are going right. The seed has always been enough from day one and cannot waver in its enoughness because it's always contained everything it needed to get there. There are some lessons that you only need to learn once: how to do algebra, the structure of an atom, how to submit your expenses. And then there are some lessons that slip like water from the fingers of your mind, and you need to keep learning them again and again. And this is one of those lessons. It goes against the grain of your automatic mind. It is persistently unintuitive, and it only sticks with regular reminding and structural reinforcement. Orchestras use blind auditions as a structural intervention against gender bias. They don't expect evaluators to erase their bias on demand. It's just not realistic, because even when you're aware of your biases, they're too quick and too subtle for you to be able to control them perfectly. So instead, orchestras expect the bias and they plan for it. And when they plan for it, they eliminate it. A coach is a structural intervention against the bias you have against yourself, against your ceaseless potential, your limitless goodness, and your unwavering enoughness in every situation. I don't expect anyone, myself included, to erase their me bias on demand. It's just not realistic, because even when you're perfectly aware of it, it's too quick and it's too subtle for you to be able to control it perfectly. But you can expect it. You can plan for it. And I won't say that you can eliminate it, but you can massively reduce its impact on you and thus get to work building the life you actually want, inside and out. Come talk to me and let me show you how. Go to the link above and book a free coaching consult.